become kind of fortuitous. Many of you will probably be aware of the two biggest faux pas that UTMB have made this year. One, in announcing Dacia as a series sponsor or event sponsor. We all know what that story is and how that just didn't jibe with our community. And the second being the way that their Ultra Trail Whistler event came into being, hot off the back of Gary Robbins's Coastal Mountain Trail event, Whistler Alpine Meadows, not taking place this year. Their event is on that weekend. Gary felt the way the permitting thing went down was pretty underhand. I know Ironman have spoken out about it. Everyone's got their side of the story, and it's for everyone to make up what they think of that. It's not the first time it's happened. They've done it before with Andorra. We obviously then, 10 days later, launched World Trail Majors, and we got a load of people saying, oh, brilliant, fly in the face of UTMB. Wow, come back with that. And it's like, guys, we've been planning this for like forever. We couldn't have just produced this idea, let alone the website and the video, and got these organisers together in 10 days like that. So it was purely just obviously fortuitous timing that UTMB stuck their foot in it again, just as we brought out this alternative. We're being very clear. We don't want this to be seen as us v UTMB. There are also other series out there. There's the Spartan World Series, there's Golden Trail World Series, there's the World Mountain Running Association Championships. They all do different things. So you might be asking, well, why have you set this up? And especially, why have you set up a series of events all over the globe at a time when we know that flying and international travel is basically the single biggest carbon impactor of any event? Like, it's far negates anything else really that's a direct result of any of our events. We know it's international travel. Well, we're not going to just stop moving as a species. We are going to keep moving, and I don't want to deny people the opportunity that I've had over a very long career, 20 years of doing races internationally, of traveling to their bucket list race to see an amazing place and be part of it. What we don't want to do is encourage people to be doing that over and over again. So the whole premise of World Trail Majors is basically run your local event. So for you guys, most of you on this call based in the UK, would be South Downs Way 100, and then pick one other event. So only 2 races will count towards your completion of the series for that year, or your ranking score, which that information will come out next week. I'll speak to that in a second. But basically, we want to encourage people to just compete in 2 of the World Trail Majors each year. That's it. And in fact, your score and leaderboard thing will be kept for years. So if you only compete South Downs Way 100 in year 1, but 3 years later you go and do Black Canyons, you'll still have a ranking based on your 2 best scores. So we're encouraging people to try and do it over a longer period of time as well. Essentially, we've been faced really with 2 questions since we launched, like why are you encouraging people to travel? How is it sustainable? And the other one being, what does it mean for me as a runner? Well, the idea is each one of these events has a responsible approach to organisation within their local territory. So each one of us already has an existing sustainability policy, a diversity policy, an inclusivity policy, and more important than anything else, is willing to work with the other organisers who have furthered those things and have more developed pathways in place to improve their events. So the first thing we did was table She Races. Sophie got in touch straight away, Sophie Power, tabled She Races to the group, and that was met with open arms. Brilliant. Let's take the She Races policies on board. Let's decide upon them as a group that we're going to incorporate those things, and that will become the World Trail Major Series policy for all 9 of us. So those kind of things are really the benefits of working together. So we try to be as sustainable as possible with the races we're organising individually. But the models that we each have within our own territories and the lessons that we've learned are what we're really going to benefit from one another. There's no there's no responsible party for us. We set up an association. Everyone has a totally even democratic share of voice. And if anyone wants to leave at any time, they can just walk away. There's just no commercial angle to it. whatsoever from that point of view. In terms of what does it mean for the athletes, first thing, for I could speak for South Downs 100, you'll see an increased level of the things that are important in this day and age, and that we in the UK have been lacking. Depth of competition at the front of the field, coverage of the event, so particularly live streaming, video content, and more in-depth live footage and feed whilst the race is happening. Just basically, essentially trying to lift the race to anywhere near the incredible level that some of the other bigger events have managed to produce in terms of production. That's our intention, really, is to really improve the coverage of the event. You'll see improved facilities at the start and the finish. You'll see improvements throughout the race, basically, as a result of lessons learned from other organisers, but also things that we implement across World Trail Majors. There'll be a memento or awards or rewards for anybody who's competing in part of the World Trail Majors series. We haven't agreed on those things yet. We don't want to just go out and buy thousands of medals that just end up redundant. We've learned those lessons as a group. We know that's not necessarily what's called for. So that's the beauty of this. We've launched it. We've got the initial tranche of information out, but what follows now is going to be based on feedback. The other main point that we keep getting asked on is that, well, I've got to travel to another event. Why aren't there more races in our territory or that I can travel to without necessarily having to fly? Needless to say, this is the starting point. There will absolutely be more races as part of World Trail Majors. There will be other races probably in the UK. There won't be for 2024. We had to draw the line somewhere and just get this thing launched because more and more races kept coming through. We went up to 6, 7, 8, 9, and we want to launch it in time for January with Hong Kong 100. So how much longer could we wait? We couldn't wait anymore. We've got a massive list of races who've applied to be a part of it. As you can imagine what some of those might be, given some of the press and the discussion going on across social media. And the plan is to offer athletes much more local options. We're discussing whether we could organise essentially local series that then feed up into a 2-event World Trail Majors to encourage people to race locally as much as possible. I think you'll see races that are much easier to get to without flying in the very near future, which is one of the prerogatives, really. So things that will come next, the scoring system, how that works, we're just agreeing on that. The sponsorship of the series. You can imagine the type of sponsors we won't be approaching. And you can imagine some of the ones we might be talking to. It's not appropriate for us to go to a brand within the sport even, because every race has its own sponsors already. But let's just say we know where we're headed with this, and it's not in the direction that others have previously taken. That will come next, and then it will be a little bit more of a formal introduction to what does it mean for the athletes to be part of World Trail Majors. There will be prize money. The elite athletes will be able to race, and it is going to be an alternative to UTMB. It will be a case of, if you're not happy with that system, and then come across and race this series instead in a more sustainable way. These independent, authentic races that are going to give you a much better experience on the trail, in my opinion. But if you want to go and race UTMB, go and race UTMB. I've done it twice and I had a great time. Do I want to do it now? Absolutely not. But I realise that for many people, it's still the main goal, and we don't want to tell people that's wrong. We're just giving another option here. So a danger of just waffling on at you for too long. I hope that gives a summary of it. I'd imagine there's probably quite a lot of questions. Some I won't be able to answer, but I would imagine by the end of next week, you'll have like a second round of information. We're about ready to get that stuff out there, answering a lot of the initial questions. Darren, was that okay? Sorry, I went on a bit there.
No, it's perfect, James. Really good information about that. So, yeah, there's some questions. You've already answered some of the questions that I had. So any plans for other races in the UK, which you've said potentially, but not in 2024. But, I kind of had Michael Jones down as a name, as obviously him leaving UTMB and yeah, possibly setting up on his own. So, that sort of collaboration. We're in discussion with UTMB. So Chloe Leger, who's the sustainability manager, we've had 3 calls now with them. We've got another one on December the 6th, which we're pushing for almost like a green running stone. It's not it's not something that's agreed or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a way of incentivizing sustainable travel by giving higher profile to a stone, whether that's green or whatever. So is there any plans to incentivize runners to your races that use sustainable travel?
I think it's a brilliant idea. I mean, what I would say is basically the door is wide open. So if you guys, a bit like She Races, if you guys have got a foundation of an idea that could work, just give it to me, because we're having fortnightly calls that are very long, because some of the other RDs don't speak any English. So there's a lot of translators in on them, which can be somewhat time consuming, but the door is wide open for this sort of stuff. What we don't want to do is start virtue signaling and saying we're going to do X, Y, and Z without any foundation whatsoever of actually doing what needs to be done. So if there's the best ideas are going to come from you guys, from this group. You've already discussed and thought about these things in depth. Could we offer? I mean, it's quite different for us because there's no stones, there's no qualifying. You just sign up for the race. And ideally, like I say, you pick your local one, and then over the course of 1, 2, or 3 years, you pick one other to go to. So it'd be slightly different, but if we can incentivize any kind of racing locally, let's do it. I mean, that sounds good to me.
Cool. That's what we like to hear. And the other thing was with the potential of runners, especially elite runners, wanting to do South Downs Way 100. How are the spaces for next year comparable to previous years? Are we increasing the amount of places available so the average runner can still get their spot without it being sucked up by elite runners?
Yeah. So the thing I'm most conscious of with the Centurion hat on is I've already got 400 people entered in the South Downs Way 100. I can't change the goalposts on those people. I'm not about to say, oh, guys, great news, we're part of this thing that you didn't sign up to this race to be part of. And by the way, now your registration time's changed and you're now in one of 7 start waves and there's now 1,000 runners on the trail. The race will be probably the same size as it was in 2019, which at its peak we had, I think, 450 to 500 starters. I'm saying that we've got to sell those extra places. There's no guarantee that we are necessarily going to see that kind of uplift. I'm certainly not taking it for granted. You won't see a field size in excess of that. What we will then do is look at that and think, how sustainable is that on every level? But of course, mainly on just for starters, logistically, how sustainable is it for us to run a race of that magnitude? We know the South Downs Way as a trail can take it. You've had Trail Walker on there with thousands of athletes, walkers in groups, in teams, using very big checkpoints for a long, long time. The old South Downs Way 80 used to be the World Trail Running Championships up until the mid-90s, and at its peak had 700-800 runners. So we know the trail can probably handle it. The national park certainly got no concerns about those type of numbers. We won't be doing that in 2024. I think it's more likely that you'll see us offer a shorter distance or several shorter distances to give people a taste of the South Downs Way rather than necessarily making the 100 absolutely massive. We still want everybody to be a name, not a number, and to have that sort of community experience that our races are kind of known for. Otherwise, we just lost the essence of what we do for scale. We're not here to just make a race big to try and make a big buck. We want the best race we can. A bigger race with higher international competition at the front. I want that to push the best of British, basically. Yeah, we just don't see international level competition on British shores. There was a little bit of UTS as a result of the Stones thing. And you get the occasional one here and there, the Spine possibly, or very occasionally, but we really aren't treated to that over here very often. I'd love to see that personally. So I don't think you'll notice as a runner that things have changed drastically this year. And if you go forward, I think you'll notice there's more peripheral event activity. For instance, stuff that starts and finishes in Matley Bowl involves no additional transport whatsoever than the sort of the rolling circus all the way down to Eastbourne, which kills me every year. That can't get that massive. I mean, look at Western States, 400 runners, same size every year. Does it need to be any more? I know they've got 40,000 people in the lottery, but it's big enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, spot on. Caroline, have we got any questions in the chat that
we do? We have a few that are kind of combination questions and ideas. So I'll combine, I think, the first three that are in there now. But the question is, if you could introduce some kind of green leaderboard, which runs alongside the main events to reward those who have taken public transportation, or are you considering any other incentives to encourage sustainable growth and participation? And then kind of related to that is if there could be potential discounted entry for those who travel in non-carbon intensive ways, or some kind of sustainable civic engagement requirements or opportunities. So I'll put those to you. And then a follow-up on that is, asking people to either be donating or having conservation days. So I'll put that to you as kind of question and ideas at once. But is there a way that the group is now thinking about encouraging sustainable and civic engagement with these races? And then we've got a couple other ones as well, but wanted to put that to you as a very broad question and ideas.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think I can sort of consolidate and then hopefully answer. What's being discussed at the moment between the staff team at Centurion Running is offering a credit scheme for how people travel to and from events. Now, this came out of a conversation with Jim Mann, who founded Trees Not Tees. He's a very good friend of mine, known him. I mean, he was my leg one pacer on my Bob Graham in 2014. So he and I have known each other a long, long time. And the thing he said to me was, how do you get people to come to event and out not in a vehicle? How do you get people to just essentially use public transport? Even bike would be even better. And how do we? Because we know carpooling is a nightmare. We've tried it so many times. We tried it back in the day. It was setting up a car sharing network. These things still exist now for events. The problem with that is that runners are so nervous about missing their start time, and some of the start times are so antisocial that it kind of breaks down before it's even got started. So people will travel with friends, but they won't place trust in people they don't know necessarily because of those barriers. So that hasn't proved to be that worthwhile, but I think incentivization is the path forward. I personally feel like Centurion needs a cohesive path forward for that, which is the plan for this winter, before I then introduce that to the group, i.e. the other organisers. We're also pooling ideas. So other organisers have already made inroads into this idea too, and it's then about trying to consolidate and come up with a system-wide plan. The beauty of this is that once we've got an idea, it's so easy to implement because organisers will just uptake like that. The others will just say yes. There's not like there shouldn't be a barrier to any of this being plausible. But this sort of credit system, which I think is the only way it works really, is the one we think we'll go for, and it will be incentivizing people to travel by public transport or by bike to and from events. Some of those more feasible than others. Obviously, for an event like 100 Hills 50K, which starts and finishes in the same place, or Wendover Woods, and you can get to within a few miles of a station, simple. Point to point 100 mile like South Downs Way 100, much more difficult, but station reasonably close at one end. How do we facilitate transport at the other? I want to say to you, by the end of the winter, like end of February, we'll have a bit more of a cohesive system and actually be able to launch it here and then push on the group to do something similar, World Trail Majors wise. What that will look like, I don't know. But again, if you guys have got the formulation of a strategy for that, that would be great. Like, your input's going to be crucial.
That's great. I think we have a couple. I think we will certainly have ideas that are coming through here. People
Yeah,
seem
something we
to love the
discussed with Ellie
conservation day.
before. Like, Ellie had a lot of input
Yeah.
on this the first time around. But I think that's we all know, like I say, we all know where the carbon's coming from at our events. And it's all, 85+% of it is coming from participant travel.
Yeah.
That's where we've got to focus all our energy straight away. But the other things, the more marginal gains, we've made a lot of already. Yes, of course, we can keep working on it. But these things are massive impactors that we can directly affect immediately, essentially. I think there's much more buy-in now, right? I mean, look at the size of the group on this call and the people that are engaged in this, rather than, 10 years ago when we tried to launch car sharing and people just weren't interested, honestly.
Yeah, brilliant.
I do want to ask, I know we're on
a
timeline. There's one more question that I think is pretty quick. A lot of awesome feedback, great feedback here about different ideas with travel credits, things like that. But one quick question just to switch gears a little bit before we move on, that hopefully is a quick one to answer. Will it be easier to get a spot in one of these races in the series if you've already run another one? So for races that might be harder to get into, does running one give you a leg up for entering other ones?
The short answer to that is yes, it will. The longer answer is we don't know how yet. The reason is some of these events look massive, but actually they're not very big, because you take Trans-Gran Canaria, I think they've got 3,000 athletes, right? But the majority of them are doing the shorter distance races. There's only actually 650 doing the 125K. It's the same at Madeira. You've got these, and Black Canyon. When you look at it, and we've got 3,000 participants. But they haven't got 3,000 participants in the main event. The biggest ones are Mount Fuji 100. Obviously, they had to change their name thanks to UTMB, and Trans-Gran Canaria, really. Hong Kong 100K, I think, is about 1,500. Everyone's got their own challenges. So there are bigger fish and smaller fish. Mostly smaller fish. I think there's only really 3 races that will be difficult to get into or don't have just a straight up entry system. So we're trying to, at the moment, decide how many bibs are set aside for each race for people competing in the World Trail Majors. And that's a really difficult thing to get round, because everyone's got very different field sizes and challenges and parameters to work within, and some races are really long established and some are just getting going. Quebec Mega Trail had 100 finishers in it last year in the distance that was part of World Trail Majors. So some of them are really small. So the short answer is yes, but the longer answer is I don't think we'll be able to say that even in the second round of information next week. I think that will be in the start of the new year that we'll be able to say more on that subject.
Cool. I'm just conscious of time, James. Thanks for everything around the World Trail Majors. I know you've got a fairly big race coming up. Well, not you personally, but organising the Winter 200. So how's the planning going for that?
Yeah, it's going well. I just there's loads of great comments and questions here. Is there a way to share these afterwards where I could maybe answer some of them and then send you some text back so you could recirculate? Is that possible?
Yeah, Ellie and Caroline are collating all the questions and all the suggestions, and then we'll ping them across to you. 100%.
Send them to me, and then I'll list the answers out and take some of the ideas on board, because there's obviously value to a lot of the stuff that's been chatted about. Yeah, Winter Downs 200. It's a new challenge for us. It's 96 hours with less than 100 athletes and 3 checkpoints. I don't know if anyone on the call is signed up for it, but it's very exciting. Like, it's so different for us. But, I'm busy working on things like how we're going to get people's bags transported about and make sure their bag is at the checkpoint for them, and what the menus are going to be at each checkpoint, and how our tracking team are going to operate, because they need to be looking at the track around the clock to make sure everyone's safe. But the runners are also going through that too, so I think they're pretty excited to be part of an inaugural event. And I've tried to share a lot of the planning, so the GPX has been refined over and over and over again. We're taking advice and questions on board. We've spoken to people behind the scenes at the Spine race to see how they run things, so it's very exciting. I think we're, as far as I can say, completely sort of ready But now the weather will throw curveballs. I mean, we know what we're getting here today is so different to last week. And of course, everyone's looking at the forecast and it's just too early. So I hope we get challenging conditions. I don't want people to jog around and it be 10 degrees with no wind. I don't also want them running into sleet on a 70-mile-an-hour wind in their faces on the South Downs Way. So I'm sort of with bated breath, wait and see what happens there. But yeah, no, we're good. We're ready. We're ready.
Yeah, good. Sounds exciting. Good luck for that race, and thanks for joining us this evening.
Pleasure. Thanks so much, everybody.
So I'll understand if you need to dial off.
Yeah, I'll hang around for a bit longer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, James. Really appreciate it. Thank you. So now we're going on to have a chat with Dan. So Dan Thompson is joining us, and Dan is going to give us an update on the Climate Relay 2024. Obviously, we were one of the main partners this year and last year. I remember doing the run to Dover Castle overnight, which was amazing. So yeah, Dan, thanks for joining us. Give us an update on the Climate Relay 2024.
It'll be my pleasure. Just quickly introduce myself. I'm afraid I don't have James's ultra background, but I am a green runner. I'm a founder of our local social running group. I'm an advisor to the Find a Race board. I'm a trustee at Panathlon. Last year we had over 60,000 students with disabilities and special needs take part in sporting events. And I'm the co-founder of the Running Out of Time Climate Relay, which is what we're here to talk about this evening. A quick bit of history, because I do recognize some names and faces here, but not everybody. So very, very quickly. We are a team of people who've been doing long distance mass participation relays for 10 years now. This all started as a response to the Boston Marathon bombing, for those who remember them. I wasn't part of the team at that time. I wish I had been. And they set up, even though they were based in Britain, they set up the first cross-US non-stop relay in response to the bombings. They raised about $50,000 and were encouraged to do it again. The following year, they got a load of media coverage and ended up raising up $500,000 for the victims of the bombings. So I thought they were on something pretty special, and they've done a whole array of relays since that date. I'm going to move swiftly to 2022, which Darren referenced, when we as a team said, obviously all the charities and causes we've worked for in the past are super important, but the one that we think is the most important that we need to focus on is climate-related issues. And for those, some of you are aware of this, we set up a completely bonkers relay from Glasgow, host of COP26, all the way down to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, host of COP27. Longest ever relay, non-stop relay, 17 countries, the Channel, the Med, mountains, deserts, lakes, you name it, we crossed it, you name it, we went wrong. But it was also not, largely thanks to people like Darren and groups like the Green Runners, one of the most wonderful life-affirming things you could ever hope to be involved in. The atmosphere, the feedback from the road, the places we visited was wonderful. The impact we had, I think we've been credited as helping to pass 2 climate-related laws in countries as we went through. And the media coverage went from, frankly, deeply cynical, as we launched in Glasgow, through to being live on breakfast time television as in what was a, frankly, rather staged final leg of the relay. We handed the baton to Nicola Sturgeon, who was down there for COP. We looked at whether we should do something similar again this year, in 2023. This year, COP to COP would have been Sharm el-Sheikh to Dubai, across 2,000 kilometers of Saharan sand. That didn't feel great, either from a safety perspective or from what we'd achieve, because these relays are about the people who take part. They're about the people we meet, the places we visit. We weren't going to do a lot of that in the middle of the Sahara. We went back to the drawing board. As many of you know, we came up with the concept of running from Ben Nevis to Big Ben, which Ben to Ben. We spoke to key partners from the previous year's relays, particularly the Green Runners, We all worked pretty hard. I think it's fair to say we owe a big, big debt to the Green Runners. We worked really hard on trying to make that amazing relay. I think it was really incredible. I hope you'll agree, because I'm going to show you a brief video based with some footage from that. That's a promotional video for 2024. Give me a second now. Let's see if I can make the technology work. I'm going to stop that. I'm sorry, I'm just not making it work. Don't know what the issue is. We're going to move on. And so this year's relay, the 2024 relay rather than this year's relay, we're going to go basically the same thing. We're going to go from Ben Nevis to Big Ben. We are of course going to try and make this bigger, better, and more impactful than ever before. We will be working, we already are working, and will be working very, very closely with the Green Runners on the setup of the relay, the goals and aims. And we are hopeful that you will embrace this relay again in 2024 like you did in 2023, which was absolutely fantastic. We have a generic goal of raising awareness, changing minds, inspiring action. And the way we try and deliver on that is really support our partners, the goals and objectives, whether that be the Green Runners or all the amazing places and projects and people that we visit along the way, and do our little bit to shine a spotlight on them and celebrate the wonderful climate action that's taking place. I'm now going to talk about 7 ways that I'm hoping that the Green Runners will be as an organization, and you individually would love to take part in this year's, or rather next year's relay. Firstly, I think we're going to be talking, Darren, about some Green Runners takeovers. So there's going to be some relay legs that are just all about you. And Darren, we tried very hard to make that work last year, and we're going to make it work this year. And hopefully that'll be a lot of fun and a real celebration of everything that's wonderful about the Green Runners. We did, if anyone's here joined us last year, thanks to Nina, organised an amazing nature trail near Bristol, and we're going to be looking at doing that on a bigger scale next year. In addition to those Green Runner focused legs, we're really hopeful that you are going to be joining legs all across the country and joining and hopefully enjoying. And yes, indeed, there will be Green Runner discounts available. We'll be trying to keep those as cheap as possible, particularly for Green Runner members. We'll be revisiting the pledges we did around the relays this year. These were a new thing for us to do climate-related pledges, and we pushed them to the people who signed up to take part in the relay. 54% of relay participants signed up to a pledge that came from your good selves, to choose to travel in a low-carbon way to their stage, and 62% participants signed up to your second pledge that you put to us, was to use existing clothing or trainers for the event. So it's absolutely wonderful. And this year, we're hoping to say, okay, that's brilliant. Now, how can we take those pledges outside of our participants and take that out to all the communities that we're talking to, our partners, which are very, very wide range of partners, our mailing lists, our database, and through media. So those are areas we're going to be working with you again on those pledges and trying to get people to take the next step, as we call it. And hopefully that'll be a big success again next year. We want to play our part in helping to build the Green Runners, the brand, the number of participants and members that you have. So hopefully we'll be doing our bit to do that. The sixth thing is, and I'm asking you now to have a little think about this, we visit absolutely amazing people, places, projects and events during these relays. And we talk about what they're doing. We use that for our media, for our social media that attracts a lot of television, a lot of radio. So again, if you have places that you think, wow, you guys really should be going to this, it's absolutely extraordinary. And that could be something really big with tens of thousands of people there, or it could be your local extraordinary project that you think we as a relay should be visiting. We would love to hear from you on those. And finally, I know I've talked quite a lot and I've laid out a number of things here. please put in your diary now the date and time of the finale in Parliament Square, which is 2030 or 8:30 p.m. It's obviously symbolic of hoping to reach net zero by 2030. Parliament Square on the 4th of July. Please come and join us. It was a special occasion last year, and we're looking to make it much bigger next year. Okay, very, very sorry about the video. It's really lovely. There's some Green Runners people in there, and I wish you could have seen it. But I hope that's given you some idea of what we'll be doing and how we'd love to work with the Green Runners in 2024.
Brilliant, thank you, Dan. Yeah, we'll send the link out for the video on the newsletter or something if we don't get time to send it later.
Sorry, one quick question, Dan. Could you please tell us when it starts? You gave us the finish date, but what's the start date? So everyone has
so the start date. These are slightly provisional, so truthfully things could change by 2024, 48 hours, because it is these relays are an extraordinarily complex jigsaw puzzle, if you like, of legs. But all being well, we'll be starting on the 7th of June, starting up in Fort William, going up to the top of Ben Nevis, and then down the West Highland Way. It is, I know that for many of us it's too far, and believe me, the last thing we want to do is get people driving there or anything like that. But if you are able to get there in a low carbon way, those opening legs are just some of the most stunning, beautiful, and there's some tough legs in there as well, for those of you who know that area, but they are absolutely stunning and beautiful. And we'd love to see you at the launch and in some of those early legs in Scotland.
Brilliant. Any other questions?
That was all in the questions. We do have a couple of places on one of your points, so we'll make sure we get those to you afterwards.
Perfect. So when are we going to launch this out to sort of general press? Is this something that is already out there? Is there any links that we can go to?
No, but what I will do, I'll circulate, Darren. I'll just resend those links. So there are two links that are worth looking at. One is a promotional video, which isn't long, but is I think it's fun to watch. And the second is a link to a deck for anyone who's interested, wants to see where the route is, for example, and the dates, and more detail about all the plans and the priorities for next year. So it's going to make sure, I think Darren's already got those two links, and hopefully we can circulate that out to the Green Runners.
Brilliant. And just personally from me, thank you for coming down to Brighton. So I won't have to travel too far, which is great. So thank you, Dan. Really appreciate that. And thanks to everyone who got involved, whether you got involved in 2022, in 2023, or whether you're planning to get involved in 2024. It is just an amazing experience. In 2022, I ran with different groups on different legs, meeting different people, and it was just really special. And then this year we ran through Wendover Woods, which was lovely. Incorporating, so James managed to facilitate that for us through Centurion Wendover Woods race, and the finale in London was just amazing. If you, like Dan says, if you can get there in a carbon neutral way, then by all means try and plan that in, because it is just an amazing experience. So thank you for what you're doing, and look forward to catching up soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers, Dan.
I'm going to switch back into my Green Runner hat. I'm going to stay for the rest of the webinar.
Perfect. And it's a nice little segue actually into green running routes. So we've actually got Kirsty from Scamper and also Vertebrate Publishing. So myself and Kirsty, we had a chat at Wendover Woods, I think it was, and then Kirsty talked about the Scamper app, and I tried it out, did a couple of routes around near me, and was blown away with it and the ethos around it. So I won't steal any of Kirsty's thunder about what she's going to talk about, but just hearing Dan there and the routes, it may be something where you guys can maybe get together and plan the climate relay as the route, the Scamper routes, or Scamper on the Scamper app. That could be something special. So so Kirsty, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Tell us a bit more about Scamper.
Thanks very much for having me on, Darren. That's really really kind of you, and I'm mostly on to say thank you for all your support so far. As you mentioned, my day job, as it were, is Vertebrate Publishing. So we publish both of Damien Hall's books. So we publish We Can't Run Away from This, as well as the slightly more cheery In It for the Long Run. But for the last year or so, me and a couple of other people have been working on this new running app called Scamper. And just the kind of the starting point for it was kind of during lockdown, we were me and a couple of friends were using kind of an open course software, open course kind of app for a virtual school course that was around the Lake District where we live. So although there weren't any races on, we could go out and we could do this kind of virtual school course, and there was a little leaderboard and there was a little bit of competition kind of going on. So that was the starting point. And then from that, we started to think, well, you know, we all love parkrun. We all you know, love doing races, but you can't always get to races. You can't, you know, not everybody's free at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I would have to travel half an hour to get to my local parkrun here. So we started to think we could use this same kind of technology, but just put thousands of courses all around the UK. So our overall objective is to get a route within sort of 10 minutes of everybody's house. And over the last year, we've put up 3,000 courses. They're all designed by experienced race directors. So the idea is they're nice routes, they're safe routes. They don't cross any private land. They don't cross busy roads where unless it's completely necessary. And when they do cross a busy road, it neutralises the time, so it stops on one side of the road, starts on the other side of the road. You can run them whenever. You can race them if you want to be a bit competitive. There's leaderboards for each one, and all of the leaderboards are automatically age and gender graded. So it's kind of a nice kind of fair system. So a lot of you really supported us. Darren came up with the idea that for World Car Free Day, we could encourage people to kind of do their local route. So we had 141 runs which you logged, which was fantastic. You know, it's such early days for us, so it's just really great to kind of have people supporting and using the app. And as kind of we pledged that we would plant a tree with Trees Not Teas for each run done. But the support was so sort of overwhelming, and kind of really crucially for us, the feedback that we got from people, you know, we're still having kind of a few technical issues, and you know, just the use that we got that week just kind of really helped us along and uncovered those problems. So we ended up planting 200 trees on behalf of the Green Runners. So massive thank you for that, and yeah, we just, you know, appreciate you so much. In terms of kind of where we're going now, you know, where we feel we sit is sort of somewhere between those kind of virtual events where it's kind of like pledge to do this many miles, you can run the miles wherever you want, and then you just kind of say that you've done it, and actual kind of live events. So what we're sort of positioning ourselves as on-demand events. So it's events on your doorstep. You can go and do it any time. You know, challenges. You can, if you want to run 100 miles in January, we can kind of facilitate that. But you do it all on kind of actual courses, and we kind of monitor your progress, etc. So we're kind of talking to charities at the moment. We're talking to race directors. We're talking to groups like you to see, you know, what are those kind of on-demand events and challenges that will motivate people. And you know, we're looking at different ways to reward them. So one of the ideas we've got is kind of reforestation runs. So you know, any routes that are kind of going through woodland, going through like forest areas, you know, what reforestation kind of projects can we work with to reward the runners for doing those runs. Another thing we talked to Darren about is having your own kind of green runners routes, where it could be a route where you particularly want to showcase something amazing. You know, it could be a regeneration project. It could be just an area of natural beauty. It could be an SSSI. You know, but it could be that, you know, it's a green runner route. You want to flag it and you want to kind of incentivize people to kind of go and visit that area. So we'd love to work with you guys on that. And I think that a lot of the challenges we've got going forward will naturally be challenges that, could fit in with some of the things that the Green Runners are doing. But I think, our overall kind of objective, really, just to sum up, is we want to put routes on everybody's doorstep so that people are not getting in the car and driving, an hour to park run, or, if you can't go and do the Three Peaks race that weekend, then, you can go and do it anytime, but still feel kind of part of a bigger kind of community, and and get on a leaderboard. We have daily leaderboards, weekly leaderboards, monthly leaderboards. So if you run on a quiet day, you'll be on that podium, which is the rule that I live by at the moment. So thank you for kind of your support so far. I hope we can find other ways to work together going forwards, and we'd be really open to all of your ideas as well.
Yeah, perfect. Like I said, I'm sold on it. I love it, and obviously we've been having little conversations since then anyway, which is great. So yeah, we are looking at these 50 Green Runner routes. So if you do know a amazing route wherever you live that's near a train station, a bus station, that passes like a special place, like Kirsty said, either an area of outstanding natural beauty, or there is a project, so Undo have their place up at Dumyat, up in northern Scotland. So any places where there's an environmental project that people can run past and learn about, then if you've got any ideas, then please send them through directly to you, Kirsty.
Or you can send them to me, or feel
we
free
can
to
collate them,
or you can actually submit ideas through the app now as well.
The app, perfect. Yeah, okay. So we'd love to get 50 Green Runner routes, sort of by the early part of next year. That would be amazing. And then we don't want Green Runners to make special journeys to go and run those routes, a bit like parkrun tourism. That's not what we want. But if you're ever visiting on holiday, or there are people that download the Scamper app and then see a Green Runner route, it may then signpost them to the Green Runners to see what the Green Runners is all about. So any support you can give that would be amazing, and we will share more details over the coming weeks. So Caroline, any questions or feedback on the chat?
There is a lot of feedback of, I love it. This has been so much fun. I've enjoyed doing it. How have I not heard of this? I'm downloading it now. So no questions, but lots of excitement around it. So thank you so much, Kirsty.
Oh, no, thank you. Thanks to everyone. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsty. Thanks. Perfect. So the timing is spot on. So now we're going to go on to some updates. So a bit of honesty, really. The last few months have been quite tough for the core group. We've had lots going on, and just to give you a potted history, there was just a group of us that got together at COP26 to call out the world leaders at COP26, and we were so disenfranchised with the outcomes of COP26 that we had another Zoom call in the January-February, and then decided to form a group called the Green Runners. Literally on that call was Jasmine, Damien, myself, a few others, and literally we went on to GoDaddy. We checked the domain name, we signed up there, and we thought, we'll just try and create something. And 18 months later, it's kind of grown, and we celebrated our 1,000 members, which was amazing. But the workload has been quite challenging as we've just grown. We've outgrown the core team, so to speak. So apologies for the lack of engagement. If you felt that, we're conscious that we want to do more, but we just didn't have the resource to do it. But now we've got a great team of people that have joined us. We've had 6 or 7 really great individuals that have joined us recently, which has now allowed us to work on some of the plans that we have got for the rest of this year and early next year. And I don't want to steal Nina's thunder, because Nina is now going to talk about some of the updates and the plans that we've got. So over to you, Nina.
Thank you, Darren. And I'm sorry I joined slightly late. I'll be honest too, I had a kids' parents' evening, so I'm feeling a bit straight from the school teachers. Anyway, I hope I can share my screen. Darren, let me try. Can people see that? Awesome. I'm not going to do a big long presentation. I just thought I'm mainly going to chat with you, and as Darren said, give you a bit of an insight into what's been going on behind the scenes recently, what's just about to happen, because it's super exciting next few months, and yeah, a little bit about next year. So yeah, as Darren said, the Green Runners was born out of frustration from COP26, but over last year we've kind of crafted our vision to this idea of running without a footprint, and our mission to use the power of community to challenge ourselves and the running industry. We've had a pretty incredible roller coaster sort of first 18 months, and it's so exciting because we continue to grow despite really only being a really small volunteering team, like no marketing budget, and as you can imagine, a little bit of scrabbling here and there, but we know we need to continue to grow both in numbers and in action. And for us, over the last sort of 18 months, we've realized that that's about meeting people where they are, wherever they are, in their kind of like greener journey, and going on that sort of imperfect journey together, really, whether that's just a first step in terms of small individual actions, whether it's collective actionism with all of us coming together, or whether it's with really kind of lobbying the system at the far end of that. So, and I think we'll be honest, we sort of had a little bit of like, where do we sit on that scale of like, and I think what's been really beautiful to witness over this recent few months is that we can be all of them, because we've got a really diverse community, we've got a diverse set of members, and the engagement comes from all corners of that, and so that is enabling us to really help meet people where they are. And certainly in the last sort of 6 months, that's really ramped up, and we've been working across really kind of 4 areas. So four before decided, Darren, four pillars, four buckets. But obviously our 4 pillars remain at the heart of everything we do, but we've been really looking at that across membership and support, across partnerships, across events, and across campaigning, to help us kind of build awareness, help to kind of support pledges and action, which is obviously really at the heart of everything that we want to help champion and all be a part of. And realizing that to do that, we need to also kind of partnership with like-minded businesses and organizations, with the industry, and with events businesses, and that allows us also to build the campaigns and have real presence when we do those. And it's fair to say in the last sort of few months that thanks to you all and to that awesome team, we've seen some real wins across the board. It's been so exciting, and I think all of us feel like really sort of teetering on the edge of a tipping point. And so in terms of membership and support, as Darren said, we're over 1,000 members with absolutely no marketing budget, and we like to say that's one of the fastest growing running clubs in the UK. I'm still sort of waiting for England Athletics corroboration on that, but I'm pretty sure it's true. Partnerships, we've just launched our partnership with England Athletics. We literally just had a launch of the pilot, 35 clubs piloting that with us over the next 3 months, and we launched that on Monday. I'm really excited about the opportunity to combine kind of the authority and the credibility that England Athletics hold as a governing body, but with the passion and the on the ground community and engagement that we as a community can bring to that. And so actually many of our members are green champions within their clubs in that pilot trial, and they're really kind of going to be making those tangible actions happen. And we're also trialing bringing our pledge system, which has been our pillar in our pledge system, which has been so great for us and our individual members, into the club system. So I'm really excited to see what we learn with that pilot, and thank you to many of our members who are helping with that. We've also started partnering with the Running Industry Alliance, so we're going to their conference in December, and we have a speaking slot. Many of you have filled out the survey and given us some fantastic insights and thoughts and ideas and inspiration to share at that. And that's the beginning of the partnership. They've asked us to sit on their futures board and to be an ongoing kind of insight partnership to them into our community. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And we had just had a fantastic update from Darren and Kirsty on Scamper, and that was a really lovely partnership. The running out of time relay that we heard from Darren about, from Dan about, awesome last year, and so looking forward to next year already. If we can't get it on the Glastonbury stage, Dan, it's going to be gutting. And in January, we have managed to facilitate the first ever green zone at the National Running Show up in Birmingham. Again, super excited about this. We've got 6 organisations all coming together. So the Running Out of Time Relay are going to be there with us, Trees Not Teas, an amazing nutrition brand called One Good Thing. We've got Pair Ups with Darren, we've got the Green Runners, we've got the Reaction team coming, going to be there with us, and the lovely Exhale Coffee team sort of serving us coffee. So really incredible opportunity to engage with people, to have conversations, to show them how easy it is to start taking action and to be a part of that with us. So we will be sharing more info about what's going to be happening on that stand, the greener running stand, Running Greener. Looking forward to that. And then obviously with the campaigning, and I think Martin's on this call, but Martin and the team and Damien really had an incredible campaign with the UTMB and calling out the Dacia sponsorship, and it was an incredible number of signatures, and obviously everyone's seen the press that it's got. But I think the other we were around a table with those guys a week before the race was starting, and it was that important to them that they pulled out all the big guns and had a call with us, and those calls continue. And I know that Ellie, with her awesome experience of kind of events and all her knowledge there, is we're going to continue to work with them and build on from that. So really positive outcomes that have I think really inspired us to keep going and keep realizing that we've got enormous amount of opportunity and credibility to get a seat at the table with these people. And so next year is going to continue to be bigger and better, we hope. Across all these areas, we are planning a website update early in the new year. It comes with we very kindly got some funds donated. As you know, we're now a registered CIC, so completely now able to take donations, which is something we'll be looking at more next year as well. But that's given us some funding to really look at our membership support, and I'm pretty sure that Ross is on this call too. I can't now see everybody on it. If you are going to wave, Ross.
Yeah, I am here. Hello.
Lovely. Nice to see you. So Ross is coming on board in January as our very first paid member of the team for a little contract, for a 6-month contract, to really help us rework the membership support and the benefits, possibly looking at a new membership model, to going into more of a subscription model, lots more content, really allowing us to look at tracking impact. So there's going to be an awful lot of progress in that kind of area, because that needs somebody that is on it a bit more constantly, and Ross is going to provide that to us just a couple of days a week, but for 6 months. So and he, well, speaking for you, Ross, but you come currently at the John Muir Trust working on their membership benefits, so lots of experience and knowledge to bring to the party.
Yeah, super excited to be on board. It's going to be great, and it's been really nice to hear all the energy in the room. So yeah, I think you're going to make our lives easier as a team when we've got a strong membership behind us.
And we've also just wanted to call out Laura as well, because Laura has joined our volunteer team to work with Caroline and Kev and all the people doing incredible work on a day-to-day basis on the social media. But Laura's got a lot of experience in social media planning, and so between the existing team and Ross and Laura, we're really looking forward to seeing how we can ramp that up next year, and support our members with much more impact. The partnerships, we've already talked a little bit about expanding our partnership with Scamper and those green routes, the England Athletics rollout, and we're already getting inquiries from Wales and Scotland about rolling that out to the rest of the UK once we've got those learnings. Building on the relationships with the Running Industry Alliance, and also potential kind of Council for the Responsible Sport collaborations, and working more on the kind of standards and events partnerships. The Running Out of Time relay, which we're looking forward to now as a registered CIC. We'll have to have our first official Green Runners AGM. Not sure where we'll have that, what it will look like, but it's definitely not going to be a normal AGM. It will have to include some running somewhere outside, somewhere near public transport, and we're looking forward to kind of planning that and hopefully opening it up to members as well, and making that a really celebratory chance for everybody to meet and participate and get more involved. We'll be looking at talking to the team about the National Running Show South, lots more webinars like this, and also exploring the opportunity to look more local meetups, part of the kind of, I guess, the membership model, and being able to engage a little bit more of our members is trying to help people kind of meet up locally and meet more like-minded green runners. And the continuing conversations with UTMB, as we talked about, and an ongoing kind of actionism calendar of races, events, initiatives that we can keep the pressure on in positive ways, and keep the conversations going, and ensuring that seat at the table stays open. So, again, as really keen to always hear back from anybody with thoughts and ideas and races and things that need, calling out in a good way and celebrating, but also kind of perhaps a little bit of collective energy behind kind of people that need a nudge to be doing better. And often that's much easier with all of us together, supporting numbers, than it is trying to go alone. And, we hear that time and time again. So, yeah, I'm not going to share any more PowerPoint presentation style slides. Sorry about that, but I just thought it'd be easier to have something written down whilst I chatted. But yeah, any questions or discussions, thoughts on that?
Anything in the chat, Caroline?
Nothing. I was about to just put a nudge in there to say, feel free to put any questions in the chat. So if anyone has any, let us know.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Nina. Yeah, really exciting times. We tried to become a charity, a registered charity. We had 4 attempts at doing it. Each time the Charity Commission knocked us back. So the other option was to become a CIC. So yeah, we got CIC registered 2 months ago, and as a result of that, we now have a bank account, which we never had before, which means we can take donations. And just so you know, our banking is with Triodos, who's one of the greenest banking organisations out there. So that's really key for us as well. So yeah, thank you, Nina. I think it might be prudent to just launch the poll while we're kind of getting any feedback through the chat. So we've just, based on what has been discussed and shared, we've just got a poll with 7 questions, which we'd really like you to fill in for us. So I'm going to launch the poll now. So can I have a thumbs up if you can see that? Yeah, perfect. So yeah, just take your time, just for the next couple of minutes, just to have a look through and try and answer those, and just give us some feedback on the longer answer questions. That'd be amazing. Thank you. Okay, if you've answered all the questions, thank you. If you're still answering the questions, carry on. It gives us an opportunity to just answer one of the questions that I see. You're partnering with EA and other national governing bodies are interested. What about other bodies such as the FRA or TRA? So we do have a couple of the co-founding members that are working with the FRA. So Doni and Jasmine are working with the FRA. So we're hoping to get an answer on that in the next few weeks or early part of 2024. So those conversations are happening, which is great. It's some exciting news about the museum that they are creating. So yeah, we'll update you as soon as we know a bit more. But the Trail Running Association, yeah, the fact that we've had James on today, obviously he's heavily involved in the Trail Running Association. So that seems like a natural link as well. So, but be assured that the Fell Running Association is being spoken to, and we are engaging with them. So yeah, FRA, yeah, perfect, yeah, good. That seems to be all the questions. Have I missed anything, Caroline? Is there one there?
No.
Okay.
Not that I have seen.
Okay, Chris.
So, but just a call out from Martin to make sure you are checking social media to see information about COP28, which started not today, yesterday. I don't know the day of the week today.
Welsh FRA have developed a green policy. Okay, perfect.
And we'll be we're keeping track of this chat just so everyone knows. Again, if there were questions for James, for Dan, for Kirsty, anyone else that came up, or other comments or lots of suggestions, specifically for Dan on the relay and James on the race, we will make sure that all of those comments get to the appropriate person after this.
Yeah, perfect. Great. I think we'll just open up. We've got a couple of minutes. If you want to unmute and maybe ask a question, then feel free to do so. If not, we'll close the call. Anyone want to speak?
Hi, it's Martin here. I was just busy. I was typing as fast as I could in the poll. Will you be sharing the results of the poll with this group or the wider group?
Yeah, with the wider group. Yeah, we're going to collate all the information and share it. Some of the information will go to the Running Industry Alliance, which Nina is attending, and then the rest of it we will share with the broader group.
That's great, thank you. And just say thank you to everyone who's contributed this evening. It's been brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Cheers, Martin.
Dan has a comment. His hand's raised.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Darren, Nina, everybody, Caroline, everybody who helped organise this great webinar, and also just all the amazing work you do all year long. It's really fantastic part of the Green Runners, and you guys do an amazing job. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Cheers, Dan. Great. Thanks. I would personally want to say thank you to Caroline and Caroline for your support on the chat right from the start and making sure that everything was okay. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Obviously, there's a time difference. Caroline's based in Boston, so thank you, Caroline, and thank you to everyone else who joined the call. James, Dan, Kirsty, Nina. Thank you for that update. And thank you, Ellie, for joining, even though you had a nightmare of a train journey to get home. So thank you for that. So yeah, it's now 9:30. We've come to the end of our Zoom Q&A. We'll record all of the questions and the poll answers and come back to you in the community with our responses on the next newsletter, which we're looking to commit to every month now, because we're conscious that we didn't fulfill that, especially over the summer months. Thank you all for your time and your questions. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being part of the Green Runners. Thank you for making a dream become a reality. And please share, our story with your friends, and let's try and get those numbers up so we can make some even more impactful pushes against those that aren't doing what they should be doing. But thank you. I'm going to end the call now. Have a great evening. Thank you.